And tonight we're here to talk about the Strong's interest inventory. Let's begin with this concept of happenstance. Happenstance is a word that's familiar to people who are involved in career management, and it refers to luck, fluke, chance, accident, and fate. The glorious world of luck. How many of you have been told that you are so lucky that everything worked out for you because you were so lucky? And I wonder how many of you put your luck down to grit, determination, and having a plan. Looking back at your own career, and I wonder how many of you would actually say happenstance was the journey that I took with my career. I think that we can do better than relying on happenstance. I encourage you to help your team to navigate their way through career decision making so that they can have an even better journey. I speak to parents regularly who tell me that they say to their teens, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. You don't need to worry about this now. From year 9 to year 10 through to year 13, there's still plenty of time. You don't need to worry about this now. And I wonder how many parents in Asia are speaking to their teens in the same way. I doubt that there would be many. And so while I don't agree with a very tight culture of intensity like perhaps Japan has, I do think that in some ways New Zealand can be a little bit laissez-faire, and that we might be just a little bit too casual in our planning for career. If our children were at school in the States, there is a very high chance that they would have been offered the Strong's interest inventory as a rite of passage through their high school years to assist them in career development. New Zealand and Australia are behind in that, and I do believe that New Zealand is one of the most behind countries in terms of helping their children in high school navigate their way through their career. So we get 17 years of living at home and maybe, hopefully, 50 years in a career. And while we have influence over our children, while they're under our roof, let's use that time to help them make even wiser choices than we did. When I was in 7th form, as it was in the 1980s, my dream was to study at Otago University. And of course, they say dreams are free. I had no backup plan. I just really wanted to go to Otago University, and I really thought that I had a shot of being a doctor. In my adult life, I did the Strong's interest inventory, and I found out that dreams are definitely free for me. My Strong profile showed that I had zero suitability for medicine. And after I completed my first year at Otago, I really struggled coming up with a plan B because I'd only ever had plan A. Imagine if I had known in 7th form in 1987 that I was not suitable to study medicine, that although my mother supported me and encouraged me to take that journey, I could have actually put all my energy into better planning and a better route, something more realistic and something that I was wired for. Just 2 weeks ago, I took my twins down to Otago University, and so this information that I'm sharing is very up to date. This is the cost of a degree, and while tonight is not all about going to university and degrees, it's definitely something that I want to discuss and help us think about as we're making our choices for what we encourage our young people to do. So first year halls of residence on average is $19,000. Textbooks are around $2,000. I've allowed $2,000 for travel from Christchurch to Otago, backwards and forwards. Years 2 and 3 study around $9,000 each year, so there's $18,000. And living expenses for flatting, I'm projecting a little bit more than they would be right now into the future. $15,000 for 2 years is $30,000. So for a minimum degree for 3 years, around $71,000, and many degrees are 4 years. And if you do honours, you might be doing 5 years. Now, what could that student have earned if they didn't go to university? So I've calculated 3 years worth of work on the minimum wage, and I've come up with $137,000, 280. So let's add those two numbers together, because there are 3 years of not earning, and we have $208,280 for a degree. Who's loaning this money to the student, and how long will it take to pay that money back? There is a piece of data in New Zealand that says that girls are having their first baby at around the age of 30. And my concern is that girls have a shorter window for establishing their career. Whether or not they go to university, they have around, if we think that a student graduates around 21, if she has her first child at 30, then there's around 9 years to establish your degree, 9 years to be paying back $71,000 unless mum and dad are paying for the degree. 9 years, maybe 10, 11 years if a girl isn't going to study at tertiary level. With or without a degree, roughly 10 years to establish themselves before what girls start to juggle family and career. Now, it is noted that there is a thing called the motherhood penalty, which says that women are less likely to be hired or paid the same amount as men when they are mothers. But there is a fatherhood bonus. The opposite happens for men. They are more likely to be hired than fatherless men, and they tend to be paid more after having had children. Even though women are running Fortune 500 companies, the traditional notions about fathers as breadwinners and mothers as caregivers remains deeply ingrained in our society. And so there is an impact for women and their education and their careers. Jean Nidich said, "It's choice, not chance, that determines your destiny." And I encourage you as parents to encourage your youth to make intentional decisions with all the information that they need. In the Thrive for Girls website, we have podcasts from girls who have studied at university and established their careers, and girls that have left school and established a career straight from school. And I welcome you to share the podcast link. It's on Thrive for Girls, and it's all free. So there's no charge to listen to the podcast stories. Just want to show a quick 3-minute clip of a video that is relevant to the Strong's Interest Inventory now.
When you were a kid, you had dreams. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut, or a lion tamer, or an inventor of something awesome. But as you get older, your interests and passions change, and you discover other things that you love to do. But you have no clue how those interests or passions could actually translate into a real career. On top of that, there's a choir of outside voices that all want to tell you who you are and what you should be. And those voices are hard to ignore, especially if you don't really know yourself. And the tragic thing is, if you don't know yourself or what the best career options are for you, the chances of you ending up here are pretty high. But what if there was a way that you could know yourself and discover jobs that people like you tend to thrive in? Well, the Strong Interest Inventory is here to help. The Strong is a career assessment that helps you discover who you are and explore career paths that are the best fit for you. And this knowledge is powerful, because if you know what you like and what you're like, and where the people who are most like you thrive, then you can be free to pick a career that you're gonna love. Think about it. You're going to spend hours and hours and hours of your life working. So why not enjoy it?
So let me introduce you to RIASEC, this acronym that is the foundation of the Strong's Interest Inventory, also known as the Holland Codes. RIASEC was created just after the First World War by E.K. Strong, who was the father of career theory. In the years following, the psychological tool has been evolving with every generation and has never been more powerful than it is now, with all of the benefits of digital support. The RIASEC Strong's Interest Inventory matches interests with potential career, education and leisure activities using your team's individual preferences. Each career option or degree category, because it relates to both tertiary and non-tertiary, has a set of interest themes associated with them that form the RIASEC acronym. So RIASEC from the top going around the right stands for these traits: realistic, these are the doers; investigative, the thinkers; artistic, the creators; social, the helpers; enterprising, the persuaders; and conventional, the organisers. And let me give you an example of each of these. So a realistic individual may be matched to, or may find themselves preferring something like mechanics, or being an electrician, or joining the police force. Their hobbies might be more aligned with camping, skydiving, mountain climbing. The investigative individuals might be more likely to be doctors, vets, computer scientists. Their hobbies might be more aligned with reading, chess, and sailing. The artistic creators are our musicians, our artists, photographers, graphic designers, and their hobbies might be aligned with art, dance, poetry. The social people may be teachers, ministers, social workers, physical therapists, and their hobbies might be around community events, social events, and entertaining others. The enterprising might be, they're our persuaders. They could be looking for a career in sales, entrepreneurship, business startup, real estate. They might be leaning towards competitive sport, politics, starting up or joining clubs and organisations. And the conventional, our organisers, may find themselves leaning towards accountancy, banking, office management, administrative jobs. Their preferences for leisure might involve things like home improvement, collecting things, or building things. Here is an example of an individual's RIASEC score. So you'll notice just here that RIASEC has been reordered. Now it's not in the order of the acronym that I just showed to you. It's been reordered, and this individual has been identified as having their highest scores as S and A, meaning they are social and artistic. But if you notice over here at the standardized scores, this individual has a really high and strongly ahead of the others in the social field, while their artistic, enterprising, and conventional scores are sort of similar to one another. And the investigative and the realistic aren't actually all that far away in terms of the numbers there as well. So the profile will be focused strongly on S and A combinations for this individual. So here they are. These are screenshots that I've taken from an actual profile. So starting in the top left corner, the 5 top interest areas that have been identified for this individual are religion and spirituality, counselling and helping, teaching and education, writing and mass communication, politics and public speaking. On the right-hand side, we have the top 10 strong occupations. Now, I haven't listed it here for you to see, but they actually give you not only your top 10 strong, but also the least likely. So the occupations that are probably going to be least interesting for you. So you can see those top 10 strong occupations listed there. And then in the lower left corner, every profile has these personal style scales, preferences. So this individual has been identified as preferring to work with people, having a learning style that prefers lectures and books. So that gives us an insight that this person is probably going to do well at university. That this person has a leadership model of preferring to lead by taking charge, that they are likely to be more risk adverse, and that they enjoy both team roles and independent roles. And this plays out, these preferences play out in the examples that are given for potential careers as well. This is more of a snapshot from the profile, but instead of straining your eyes to read this, I want you to know that I'll be emailing out to everybody at the end of the Zoom tonight a link that takes you to our website where there is a sample, an entire sample profile that you can take a look through and have a really thorough look at all of the different pages of what's available. Now, while you'll get some idea of how to read it, it is highly recommended. It is not required, but it is highly recommended that you have a debrief alongside a profile. So on the right-hand side here, every part of the RIASEC is measured and has scores. And so that might make sense to you, but if it doesn't, that's what the purpose of the debrief is, to assist a young person to understand what their profile says about them, and also to make choices about the information, not just to leave the student with the information, but actually to spend that debriefing time helping them to make some practical decisions about where they'll go to next with this information. I hear this a lot, so I've included in the Zoom. A lot of parents say to me, we really want our young people to come and have a session, but they're refusing. So thanks for your help, but I've got this on my own. I'm going to figure out my life with no help, thanks, is basically what students are saying to their parents. But I want you to remember this. His and her frontal cortex isn't all there yet, and it won't be finished developing until she's 25. And by then she may well be asking why you let her do the things you let her do. And so that it doesn't come back to bite us, I think it's important that we offer our young people as many opportunities as we possibly can, because they don't have the necessary brain to make the wise choices. So just as you wouldn't allow a toddler to toilet train without assistance, and you wouldn't allow a toddler to feed themselves without you choosing the food that they are going to use, we look at our young people at 16, 17, 18, and they look confident, they look self-assured maybe, they are determined that they don't want help necessarily, yet I think that this is a time where we need to say, actually, mum and dad know best in this circumstance.